Hi, my name is Gary Lanham. I'm the co-founder of Human Garage, and I'm here to help you with a few things that you can do at home that makes your life a lot better. At the Human Garage, people have always asked us, how do we do what we do? How do we accomplish and get the results that we do? With professional athletes and celebrities coming from all over the world. Each and every person is different. Each and every situation is different. So what we learn to do is to understand how the body adapts to the environment differently than the way that we've been taught. I know there's a lot of things that you read about in magazines, there's a lot of things that you've heard about how the body works, but let's get down to some of the basics that we found to be true. First of all, I've been trying to answer the same question for clients for over a decade. How did I get this way? I have no accidents, no injuries, no tears or rips. Why is my body so messed up? And the answer to that question actually is the answer to how to help yourself. Is we are a victim of two things that were never accounted for or thought about when we looked at the human body. The first one was gravity, and the second one was atmospheric pressure. And I know it's hard to imagine that in 3,500 years of evaluating the human body, we've never even applied gravity as a force to be reckoned with. Well, let me show you what gravity does to your body. Gravity constantly pulls down, but gravity just doesn't pull down, it also torques and turns. Why? Because the Earth that we're standing on rotates about 1,000 miles an hour and then spins about 66,000 miles an hour around the sun. Each of those causing a force on your body which pulls, turns, and winds. If you're in Australia, it's completely the opposite. But for right now, for all of you in North America, let's talk about what's happening. The gravity's pulling down and torquing my body this way. So just standing here, I'm actually creating, by resisting the forces of gravity, creating torque in my body. And it accumulates over years and years and decades. If you want to feel what this feels like, you can stand here, turn against somebody here with their hand, have them push their hand against it, turn back, holding resistance, and you'll see every spot that you feel tight in your body are spots that you recognize. And that's what gravity does over time. So at Human Garage, the way that we've been able to resolve people's issues is recognizing that these forces are applied in the body with atmospheric pressure, and what we have to do is three simple things. We need to counterbalance. And counterbalance is we have gravity and atmospheric pressure. Gravity pulling me down and torquing me, atmospheric pressure pushing in. So my body has to regulate that balance by having an equal amount of pressure pushing out and by standing up and using force and energy. This is where a lot of our problems start to happen. So the very first thing is, as we counterbalance in gravity, we create torque. Our natural way of relieving our body is walking. So if you're walking, which is an important thing to do, then that will help your body eliminate torque. But walking takes 8 to 10 miles a day. As you know, not anybody walks 8 to 10 miles a day, or very few people anyways. And as a result, if you look in places like New York, where they walk a lot, they have about 40% less surgeries than people in LA. So let's get down to it. So counterbalancing is I'm being torqued and twisted. I'm going to stand up creating tension. And the farther I stand against gravity, the more tension I create. So the highest point of tension is the top of my head. So people say, I have a neck problem. It's coming from somewhere down here almost always. Counterbalancing is the second C, and counterbalancing is what we do to stand up and resist atmospheric pressure and gravity. Just standing here, we're creating that. The third thing is control. It's letting the body adapt to those control mechanisms. The body's natural state is to be in gravity. So when we're standing, that is a natural state. So if we want to analyze and help the body, we have to do it while the body's in gravity. Laying down on a table, taking an X-ray or an MRI isn't going to tell you much about how your body adapts to the world. It'll tell you if you have a broken bone, if you have a limb that's not working, if you have a tear, a rip, or something like that. But it's not going to tell you if you can stand and walk effortlessly without pain, and if you have a full range of motion. If we do this simple 10 minutes worth of untorquing exercises, you're going to see how awesome you can feel shortly after. Just going to bring this chair over here, sit down and demo a few of the untorquing moves for you. If you want to know where torque sits, it sits in our joints. So one of the things that you can test this out if you want to try this is if you take your hand on your knee and you take both your knees and kneecaps around there and put your fingers around there and turn your thumbs away from the center of your body. Now when you do this, initially you're going to feel it tighten up in your medial arch, in your arch of your foot. You're going to feel it tighten up in the outside of your quad right here and up your back. That's the opposite of what we want to do. That is what it feels like. So quite often we find ourselves stretching or rolling out a muscle that's tight, but it's tight because there's too much torque in the joint. So what we're going to do today to eliminate that is really simply this. Take your hands, put them on your knees, covering the whole kneecap, and get your fingers gripping around it, your thumbs on the inside, and rotate your thumbs to the inside of your body. Now initially when you do this, you're going to feel your lower back like want to straighten up. And as soon as that happens, you know that your body's kicking in. And what this doing is it's not only taking torque out of the knee, it's also taking torque right out of the spinal cord, all the way up the spine. For those of you who are sensitive, you're going to feel it right away. For some of you, you might not feel it for a few minutes, so don't worry about that. It's still working. So if you hold it, and we're going to turn it, and we're holding the skin literally in, and we're going to hold it for 2 minutes. Eventually, you're going to feel that energy crawl up your middle of your back, up through your rhomboids, the base of your neck, and at the final part of it, around 2 to 2.5 minutes, you're going to feel it crawl into your head. It'll feel for some of you like there's something swirling on the inside of your ears. When you get to that point, it's not only relieve the pressure up the spinal cord, but it's also remove pressure from the dural matter of the brain by releasing fascial tension in the cranial plate. So part number 2. One of the other things that we have to take care of is shoulders and elbows. And these are the big ones, because these are what we use to move. So in the elbows, you take your hand, place it here so your thumb is pointing away from your body. Again, covering the elbow and turning the hand with the thumb turning towards the center line of the body. And when you do that, initially you're going to feel your shoulder want to adjust. Most of you are going to want to do this with your head. When you want to do that kind of involuntary action, it's because your brain says, that's what I want to stretch. And that's how you know that something's working. We do the same thing on the other side. And I won't wait the time, but it takes 2 to 3 minutes for each one of these. Just hold it and watch what happens. The third area, which is super important because our shoulders are involved in our walking. We have 4 corners of motion, shoulders and hips. So we want to make sure the shoulders are clear of torque as well. Put the hands on the shoulder with the thumb pointing up and turn the thumb away from the neck. Some of you might be good enough, you can do both at the same time. But either way, holding it again for 2 to 3 minutes. And by this, it'll release tension in your shoulders, neck, elbow, and in through the head and cranial plate again. There's more than half the muscles in the entire body are in the neck and head, and we want to address that. One of the biggest avenues is your jaw. And if you ever wondered why you're stressed out so often, your jaw is a primary stress driver. We clench our jaw when we are trying to generate leverage or force, or when we're being attacked. So what we want to do is give the jaw a very specific instruction and loosen it up, because if our brain thinks we're being attacked, it's going to tighten our body, our muscles, and fire stress hormones. So this is one of the most stress relieving things that you can do. If you take the face and you look at it in a mirror and you draw a line in your face, one eye is slightly higher than the other. The high eye here, my right one, I want to turn down. So I'm actually going to take my jaw, take 3 fingers and a thumb like this, right around the jawbone. Now this is the area right here where you want to get. You're going to take and turn this one towards or away from you, and this one back towards you. And you're going to hold that for about 2 minutes. Again, you're going to feel the whole body start to relax, and you're going to feel your body come out of stress. So once you've done the jaw, you already are starting to feel a little less stress. And you can do this anytime. The same action applies to the temporal lobe. Temporal lobe, again, if you want to find it, just behind the eye, between the eye and the ear, and you'll feel a little bit of meaty substance right there on your head. That's your temporalis. Take your fingers the same way, and the same thing as the jaw. You're turning your right one or your high eye forward, and you're turning the left one back. Again, you're going to hold this for about 2.5 minutes. So the next one is going to make a lot of you happy, and the reason why is because it adjusts a joint that's actually inside the head, right underneath the brainstem, called the spheno-basilar junction. And that joint is the one right below the pituitary gland, and when it's open, guess what your body does? It releases serotonin and dopamine. It's going to look kind of funny when you do it, but here's how it works. You take your thumb or your finger, whichever one's easier for you, and in your ear, in the opposite of your eye. So with your jaw, you rolled forward. With the ear, you're going to roll backwards. Now, if you're watching me and doing this, you're not going to hear what I'm saying, so wait a second here. You're going to turn, and as you breathe in through your nose, you breathe out, you tighten a little bit. Not too much, just a little bit of tightness. Breathe in again, and tighten. After doing that for 2.5 to 3 minutes, you're going to feel happy, and that's the best way I can describe it. And the last one, especially for those who are having neck pain or neck tension, can just be the torquing in the neck. The two major muscles in the neck are called SCMs, and they go right down here. They go right from just below the jaw and the ear all the way to the clavicle. So the same thing as the ears, you're going to take and your three-prong finger and thumb on your SCMs, and you'll feel the tension there. Just take and turn it the opposite of the jaw, the same as the ears again. So turning the high eye, turning backwards, and turning the other one forward. And you hold that again for 2.5 to 3 minutes, and what you'll feel is you'll feel like your neck is getting longer and straighter. And these are all ways that you can use to reduce the tension and the buildup of tension on a daily basis. And the last, and sometimes the most important for a lot of people, is the hips. I'm going to get 2 lacrosse balls. If you don't have lacrosse balls, you can certainly use your hands and you still turn the skin and the fascia. So we're going to take these 2 balls, we're going to place it on the hips, and we're going to roll forward and hold that for 2.5 to 3 minutes. And again, you're going to feel your hips want to shift a little bit, and just let them shift. At the end of that, you get up and walk, and you're going to be a whole new you. I hope you enjoyed these simple little ways to reduce tension and stress in your body. This will help your daily build-up and accumulation of what's causing you the pains and aches in your body today. If you want the full experience, you can come to Human Garage. You can sign up on our wait list, and we'll get you in as soon as humanly possible. We're looking forward to seeing you in person.